Hello, Gearspace. I'm Stijn Kuipers from This Is Not Rocket Science, and I am here to show off our new modules for this year. First of all, we have here the Wobbler2, which is based on the Wobbler1, and the Wobbler1 was an LFO that has a whole bunch of interesting shapes. It can do standard sine waves on two of its outputs. You can put the outputs out of phase, so you can see them nicely wobbling side by side here. You can change the shape into sawtooths or into poles. Of course, it can also be faster. But the main thing about it is that it has this shape knob, which has 5 different styles available. It's now in the basic style. If we go to the second style, it's like self-phasing thing. You'll see in the wobbling shapes here that they added a sub-wobble to it. It's already more intricate than the standard sine triangle, poles, and sawtooth shapes. And if you go a bit further, it has a twang shape, which is like putting a stick on the edge of the table and going ploing. You have to give it a trigger, otherwise it doesn't do anything. And it will die out by itself. So it just goes and stops. Next one is a double pendulum, which is the smallest possible system that generates sort of fractal and chaotic motion. Again, you need to give it a kick. And it will have 2 outputs that are related and connected, but in very chaotic ways. So they're almost magnetic to each other in the center. Then there's also sample and hold, which is just noise, which can also have a slew limit. So it slowly glides to the next value. And then there's 2 extra modes. It's quantize and hold, which is like sample and hold, but it only does 8 values instead of the whole range. It's slightly more musical to use, and there's super slow motion mode that can take weeks for one LFO cycle to continue to complete. But this was Wobbler1. But due to the chip crisis, we were forced to upgrade to a much faster chip. And what happens when you play an LFO at audio rates, it becomes an oscillator. But what specifically happens when you put the Wobbler at audio rates, because you already need to give it a trigger before it does stuff, it sounded an awful lot like a drum. And the double pendulum as well. So instead of just making a faster Wobbler into a regular oscillator, we decided to put a complete drum synthesizer in it, which is what we did for Wobbler2. Wobbler2 maintains all the functionality of the Wobbler1. It has the same shape here. You can go between all the old LFO shapes, but if you press the bang on button, it goes into drum synthesizer mode, and then if you trigger it, you get drums. And for each of the LFO shapes, we sort of try to match up with the corresponding drum. So the basic shapes get a simplish bass drums type sound. Then you go into more self-phasing and complicated ones. But it's like hitting objects. Oh. Then into rattly things. Into snare-ish sounds. Hi-hat-ish. And claps. So, and because we still had some space left after all this extra stuff, we also added 7 banks of 7 samples to have some classic electronic drums available, but also complete acoustic kits. And even some vocal ones.
Tick, 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 clack, clack.
Boom, boom, boom. Quack, clack, clack.
And of course,
Clack, clack.
if you modulate this live, then you can get very intricate drum rhythms out of there, because everything is audio rate modulatable.
Boom, tick, boom. Boom.
Let's make something faster here.
Tick, tick, boom, tick, tick, boom.
Sorry, I'm also changing the sequence here a bit. That's our Wobbler2. Oh yeah, the one feature I forgot to mention, the output here is the second output for the drum mode is an envelope output. So you get a regular output if it's to the right, just an envelope tracked output for the drum. But if you put it the other way, it will become a ducking envelope you can use for sidechaining somewhere else in your system. And the other output, instead of just having the level, it also goes distorted to compressed on the other side. And that's it for this one. It's available right now, €360, at any modular dealer near you, or otherwise straight from us in the Netherlands, and we'll ship anywhere.